O Israel, return to the, let me see how it appears in Hebrew. Israel Yahweh Eloheicha. So, O Israel, return to Yahweh your Elohim, for you have stumbled because of your iniquity. Remember that Israel, in most contexts, represents the many. For Israel and Yehudah separated, those of the north and those of the south. And Israel is a name that was used for the lost tribes that were many, pretty much 10 of them. So that's why it says, O Israel, return to Yahweh your Elohim, because even though they claim to believe in him, they don't follow the true doctrine. They don't read scriptures the way everyone should, really, to get to know the Almighty and his will for our lives and the way we should live so that that will may be fulfilled. So it says, O Israel, return to Yahweh your Elohim, for you have stumbled because of your iniquity. Take words with you and return to Yahweh. Take words with you. That's interesting because, like I was saying, we need to get to know Yahweh and his will through the knowledge of scriptures. That's why Hosea 4:6 says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So through the study of scriptures, taking words with us, meditate on the Torah, on the scriptures, on the truth, on the promise, that will help us and push us to return to Yahweh. Plus, of course, the fact that the true names of the Almighty are words, because obviously a name is a word. The name of the Father and the Son. Take words with you and return to Yahweh, for they actually worship Baal when they invoke the Lord, which is English for Baal in Hebrew. So they worship the Lord, and through the name God, they worship fortune, which at the end is the same entity as the Lord, because he's the Elohim of this world and the one that gives fortune to those who worship him. So, and that regarding God, you can find it in Isaiah 65:11. So, take words with you and return to Yahweh. Say to him, take away all iniquity. Receive us favor. Well, with favor. Receive us with favor. For we will offer the sacrifices of our lips. This is amazing and confirms what I was just saying regarding take words with you and return to Yahweh, and be in those words the names, that of the Father and the Son. For it says, take away all iniquity, receive us with favor. Yahushua came to forgive our sins, for Yahweh to forgive our sins through our faith in his mission, in his work, in his sacrifice and resurrection. So, take away all iniquity. Yahweh did it through Yahushua HaMashiach. Receive us with favor. The favor and the truth came with Yahushua HaMashiach. So these two things come to us through the Messiah, through our belief in what the Messiah did. And then it says, for we will offer the sacrifices of our lips. And that is huge, as I was saying, because we read something very similar in Hebrews 13:15. In Hebrews 13:15, it says, therefore by him, or through him, meaning Yahushua HaMashiach, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahweh. The sacrifice of praise to Yahweh. That is the fruit of our lips, confessing his name. So through Yahushua, we worship Yahweh when we have faith in Yahushua and confess the name of Yahweh. So we invoke Yahweh for him to listen to us, to forgive our sins, to clean our iniquity, and then we close the prayer with in the name of the Son Yahushua HaMashiach. So therefore, through him, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahweh, that is, the fruit of our lips, confessing his name. So we see here that he's saying, say to him, meaning everybody that is returning to Yahweh should say this: take away all iniquity, receive us with favor, for we will offer the sacrifices of our lips, meaning we will invoke the name of the Father and the Son. In Psalm 54:6 we read, I will freely sacrifice to you. I will praise your name, O Yahweh, for it is good. Then in Jeremiah 17:26 it says, and they shall come from the cities of Yehudah and from the places around Jerusalem. That meaning the few, the chosen few. Like I said, Israel represents the many, Yehudah the few. From the land of Benjamin and from the lowland, from the mountains and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices, which represents the burnt offerings represents the sacrifice of the two witnesses, and the sacrifices that mentions afterwards represents the sacrifice of Mashiach. And even we could include that of Yahuhanan, the immerser, even though he died previously. Then it says grain offerings and incense, which represents the grain offerings represents the chosen few being offered to Yahweh, for it is the only offering that didn't include an animal dying, and the chosen few do not die, so they are as the grain offerings. And the incense represents the works of the just, of the righteous, and the prayers, for they go up as smoke from us to the Father, to the heavens. Then he says, bringing sacrifices of praise to the house of Yahweh. So those of Yahudah, meaning the chosen few, will confess the name of the Father and the Son, which is sacrifice of praise. And Jeremiah 33:11 also says something along those lines. The second part, it says, praise Yahweh of hosts, for Yahweh is good, for his mercy endures forever. And of those, well, for mercy, his mercy endures forever, shows how Yahushua, who brought the mercy, is the eternal life. For mercy endures forever. His mercy endures forever. So his mercy, which is the Messiah, the first, Yahushua, is eternal life also. For his mercy endures forever. And of those who will bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of Yahweh, for I will cause the captives of the land to return as at the first, says Yahweh. So, going back to Hosea, well, blessings, peers. Hopefully you'll enjoy the study, and well, I hope also that you will understand as much as possible, and also whatever you don't understand, just have patience and continue watching even the next Tuesdays if you can, if you want, so that everything may begin to make sense more and more. So, verse 3 of Hosea 14, after saying, take away all iniquity, receive us with favor, for we will offer the sacrifices of our lips. Assyria shall not save us. In Hebrew, Ashur. Ashur shall not save us. Ashur represents the world government, the beast, the little horn of Daniel, the first beast of Revelation 13. Ashur shall not save us. Just like people think that the government will save them. That which the government is doing, for instance, with the way they're handling COVID-19, that shows that, well, there are many things that show how they are lying, and also that what they are doing is not for the reasons that they are doing, that they are saying in the media, in the news and everything. So the reasons that they are giving are not the real reasons why they are putting everybody in houses and getting everybody ready for the new world order that they are preparing. So it says, Ashur shall not save us. Only Yahweh through Yahushua can save us. Ashur shall not save us. We will not ride on horses. We will not ride on horses. As in, meaning physical, literal war. Yahweh put us in a spiritual war, not a physical war. And that, when it comes to the literal sense of that verse. But remember that in Hebrew, let me see this verse. It says, Lo, which means no, Yoshienu al Sus. When it says we will not ride on horses. Well, what I just read, I just had to add another word. Ashur lo Yoshienu, which means Ashur will not save us. But in Yoshienu, we have the verb shua, which comes obviously in the name of the Messiah. But after saying that, which includes the verb of salvation from the Messiah, Yahushua, then it says al sus lo nirkab. So on horse, and it says in singular, we won't ride. So in Hebrew, as you just heard, horse is pronounced Zeus. So that's why one of the interpretations or translations of the name Jesus or Jesus from the Hebrew, or the way it sounds in Hebrew, would be behold the horse. And as I have explained, the way the enemy used the false name and implanted it in all churches through the wrong translations that they use, that was as making a Trojan horse for the enemy to enter while everybody's drunk with the wine of the fornication of the great whore of Babylon. Pretty much like the story of the Trojan horse. Even by the fact that the name Jesus comes from the Greek, pretty much, not the Hebrew, because it's completely a different name that's starting to evolve from the first change that the Jewish people made to the name of the Son, so that nobody would pronounce the name of the Father, which is in the name of the Son, as he himself said it. I come in the name of the Father, and you do not receive me. When one appears or comes in his name, him you shall receive. So here it says we will not ride on Zeus, which would be, because of the phonetic of that word, that the chosen few, we, are not gonna ride on the falsehood that is brought by the false name, which is represented by the horse, Zeus. Just as back in the day, in the literal sense, people would trust on the quantity of horses that they had, we should trust on Yahweh, not as people trust in Zeus or Jesus. So that's part of what we see here in this verse, which is actually very important. Assyria, Ashur shall not save us. And look how it mentions salvation right before mentioning a word. And my point, well, because somebody may say it only has sus, it doesn't have he or je, the of Jesus, or Jesus, as it is pronounced in Spanish. So, or as people pronounce in Spanish. So what I find interesting is that in Hebrew we find only the shua, the verb shua, in salvation, our salvation. And that is the part that is switched through the wrong names to Zeus. The Yahushua, they changed it to Jesus. So the Yahu, they changed it to He or Je. And the Shua, they changed it to Zeus. Yet Shua is salvation, Zeus is a horse. So the chosen few say, we will offer the sacrifices of our lips, meaning we will confess the name of the Father and the Son, as we just saw in Hebrews 13:15. That's what it means. Ashur shall not save us, Shua. Ashur, the world government, the new world order, will not save us, will not Shua. We will not ride on Zeus, on that false name. And I hope that's clear now because I think it's very important. Then it says, nor will we say anymore to the work of our hands, you are our Elohim. Nor will we say anymore to the work of our hands, you are our Elohim. So after confessing the names, the true names, after leaving the false doctrine, we will not, well, as it is being said here, follow the false Elohim that those doctrines were teaching. Some worshiping actual literal idols, images, and some worshiping the image of the same Jesus, but in their head, when they close their eyes, they see that image as they say the name. Or when they worship money, not really knowing that they're doing so because they are fooled by their heart. But that is what they are seeking when they go to church or when they pray. It's all about the same thing, which has to do with this reality, this world. While Yahweh said that we are not of this world and that we shouldn't look for the things of this world. Because if we are looking for the things of this world, then we are looking for the same things that Satan is looking for, because it is written that Satan has his eyes on the things of men. So, nor will we say any more to the work of our hands, you are our Elohim. For in you the fatherless finds mercy. For in you the fatherless finds mercy. So those who feel, or even are, of course, in the literal sense, because either the father died or was never met by the son, those who do not have a father on this earth can find that father in the Almighty Yahweh. So, verse 4, I will heal their backsliding, which has to do with the apostasy, the rebellion, because they were claiming to go towards Yahweh through the way which he made, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, for he said, I am the way to the Father. So they started with that faith, but Rome and many other false pastors and doctrines started changing the path, taking people completely to the other way. So that's why Yahweh says, return. And here, I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. Look how it says him in the singular, because it represents, as the singular, the second manifestation of Yahweh as the witness, like Moshe, one of the two witnesses of Revelation 11, who will be killed in Yom Kippur next to the witness like Eliyahu, but each for different reason. So that's why it says him in the singular, just like those who overcome, or he who overcomes in the singular in Revelation 2 and 3 when talking to the congregations. But since it is talking about Israel, for Israel, the person Yaakov who became Israel represents the last, just like Israel became the father of the 12 tribes, and the last becomes the spiritual father of the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe. So the name Israel represents the last and represents the people of the Father whom the last comes to gather. Both, in this case, Israel is the whole of the people, and as I was saying, represents the many. For many are called, but few are chosen. So many and few are the two sheepfolds that Yahweh came to gather through the first and the last, as it is also explained by Yahushua HaMashiach in John 10, when he speaks about being the door and the good shepherd, first and last, and how he had two different groups of people that he had to gather and make at the end of times one people, one sheepfold. So I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. So when the last, who comes as the prodigal son, dies believing in Mashiach, but the fact that he will die, and the fact that he came as the prodigal son, because he comes from Ephraim, who represents the many who were backsliding like everybody else at the end, but through the true doctrine many will come out of it and become the few. So that's why it says, for my anger has turned away from him, because when he dies, there will be no anger, for there will be no sin at all. Like if the father from the prodigal son took away all sin when he said, get him dressed in the best with the best clothing, and gave him the clothing of a king. So when the last dies and then resurrects, Yahweh will take away all backsliding, all sin, as the father took it from the prodigal son by changing his clothing. And the same way Yahweh will do with the many, who will have to die, unlike the chosen few. And right after they die, because the wage of sin is death, then when the many die because of their backsliding, once they are resurrected, their sins for which they had to die will be paid or rectified, and therefore Yahweh won't be angry anymore with his people for eternity, which will be amazing, and we have no idea how good it will be. Verse 5. I will be like the dew to Israel. I will be like the dew to Israel. Yahushua represents the dew that came down in the morning and became the manna, or man in Hebrew. I will be like the dew to Israel, the water of life, the first rain, the early rain. He shall grow like the lily. He shall grow like the lily, or sprout, which makes reference to the last as the branch. He shall grow like the lily. And Yahushua made a reference to the lily when talking about Shlomo, the son of David. Yahushua came and he explained to the Pharisees, yet they didn't understand, that he is the root of David, not the son of David. When he asked them, who is the Messiah? And they said, the son of David. Yet Yahushua explained by using Psalm 110 that David himself talked of the Messiah as his sovereign, Adon. So why would he be his son? So that shows how the first and the last one is the root and the other is the branch. In the middle is David, meaning because obviously Yahushua, Messiah, the Word, was in the beginning with Elohim, and everything that was created was through the Word, as we see also in John 1. So he shall grow like the lily, the branch of David, son of David, just like Shlomo. Shlomo means peace. The last will bring the everlasting peace, as the prophets said it, obviously Yahweh through the prophets. And Yahweh will give him a new body, that of a king, as I already said with the previous verse. And when Yahushua talked about the lily, he was talking about the splendor that Shlomo had through his clothing as a king, yet it wasn't as beautiful as a lily. So the fact that now it says this, he shall grow like the lily, it shows how this time, because Yahweh will not be angry, because Shlomo got lost for most, at the end of his life, and at the end he repented, but at the very end, so he did a lot of bad, and he went towards idolatry and other things, and that was to show the prodigal son and how the last would end up being if Yahushua had not come. Yet the last comes as Shlomo, yet has Yahushua, so receives the true wisdom, the heavenly wisdom, instead of the evil wisdom that led him to do a lot of evil things. So the last, through Yahushua, who is the truth and the favor and the forgiveness of sins, gets to be like Shlomo without the issues at the end, at least. And that's why it says he shall grow like the lily and lengthen his roots like Lebanon. In Lebanon were found the biggest trees. So it represents strength. Remember that the chosen few are the trees in Revelation 7, where in whole Revelation, when it talks about the trees, it is speaking metaphorically about the chosen few. The land are the many, and the sea are the nations, meaning those who do not believe in the scriptures. So he shall grow like the lily and lengthen his roots like Lebanon. I already said that Yahushua is the root of David, as we see also in Isaiah 11, for instance, but many other parts of scriptures. So just how it said, he will sprout like the lily, or he shall grow like the lily, representing the last as son of David. Then it says, and lengthen his roots like Lebanon. So the power in Yahushua will grow, and his roots will not remain only over Israel or his authority, but over all the world. So his roots will, it says, will lengthen his roots like Lebanon, just like the trees were huge. So the root has to grow also to hold that huge tree, which will be the nation of Yahweh. And Lebanon pretty much comes from white in Hebrew, so it represents the lack of sin, pureness. Verse 6, his branches shall spread, his beauty shall be like an olive tree. His beauty shall be like an olive tree. As in, the olive tree was used to make oil, both for lighting the lamps, which represents the many, and also for the to anoint the kings and the Messiah. Messiah means anointed. So that shows how the many and the few will be blessed with the light and with the Ruach HaKodesh, the spirit of testimony, the prophecy, and the spirit of truth, which are two parts of the Ruach HaKodesh, the set apart spirit of Yahweh. So those who dwell, I jump one part, his beauty shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. Not only those trees were huge, they also smell amazing. And well, other actually there's some oils that they sell in Israel. Some of them have that smell or that fragrance, and is amazing. And his fragrance like Lebanon. So the works of the people will please the Father, just like a great smell pleases the nose. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return. So those who follow and decide to respect and honor the people that Yahweh chooses, they will return to the truth and get better in time. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return. They shall be revived like grain. They shall be revived like grain. They shall be revived like grain, which are the chosen few who are transformed in the blink of an eye and do not experience death. And then it says, and grow like a vine. Grow like a vine. Or, once again, sprout like a vine. Yahushua said, I am the vine. From the vine we get the wine. Yahushua gave his blood, and he said, when he raised the cup of wine, he said, this is the blood of the new covenant, which is spilled for the many. The many are the wine that comes from the winepress of the wrath of Yahweh in Revelation 14 during the harvest. But first, in Revelation 14, we see that Yahweh gathers the grain, the wheat. So they shall be revived like grain, meaning the chosen few will be transformed in the first part of the harvest during the seventh trumpet. And grow like vine. Grow like a vine. The many, who are the grapes, who are harvested and thrown in the winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. But also the fact that he's already talking about the resurrection. He shows how those two parts will become greater and greater and will multiply and fill the earth. They shall be revived like grain. They will feed the world. The chosen few will feed the world with the knowledge of the Father, with wisdom and understanding. and grow like a vine, and the many will keep the happiness going, the joy, like the vine, like the wine. Their scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. Once again, the scent of Lebanon, but this time from the wine, from its wine. Their scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim shall say, what have I to do anymore with idols? But look how it says anymore, for Ephraim nowadays is following the idols, even though they claim not to be in idolatry. They claim to be following the true Elohim. They claim to be in the true doctrine. They claim to believe in the scriptures, etc. When you look into the scriptures, you see that it's not true, because through their works you shall know them. By their fruits you shall know them. By the fruit you know the tree, if it is from Lebanon or not. If you smell it, if you eat the fruit, or weigh it, well, taste it, test it. So Ephraim shall say, what have I to do anymore with idols? Once the few are transformed and the many, which are represented by the name Ephraim, are resurrected, they will recognize that they were in a wrong doctrine, but now they will never follow falsehood. Ephraim shall say, what have I to do anymore with idols? I have heard and observed him. I am like a green cypress tree. Your fruit is found in me. Your fruit is found in me. Whatever we do in the spiritual sense, or meaning in justice, righteousness, mercy, goodness, and whatever that we do for others according to what the Almighty tells us to do, loving our neighbor as ourselves, all of that we will receive the fruit of it, or the recompense for it, through the Father, from the Father. So those who have worked for other entities, those who have been religiously following a false entity and have done things for those entities, those things won't be paid. They won't receive any reward for them, because those entities cannot give them anything, cannot pay them anything, in the spiritual sense, of course. So I have heard and observed him. I am like a green cypress tree. Your fruit is found in me. Look how he was talking about the smell of the trees, how good they smell, and represents the works and the prayers of the righteous. Your fruit is found in me. Then it says, verse 9, who is wise? As we know, Shlomo was the wisest man in the world, but he didn't have the truth, for Yahushua had not come yet. So by having all the wisdom but no truth, he got lost with the wisdom of the world, which is evil wisdom according to the New Covenant, where we read that. So it says here, who is wise? Shlomo, which in a way this chapter made reference to him by talking about the lilies and all of that. Who is wise? Let him understand these things. Let him understand these things. Who is prudent? Let him know them. First and last, wise. And let me see the verb that he uses in Hebrew when it says, well, it says, mi hacham, who is wise. Then it says, veyedaim, meaning who has knowledge. And then it says, ki yesharim, which is connected with, well, Yashar, the book of Yashar, meaning the righteous or the upright, which makes reference to the last, and not only because of that title of upright, but because he used the word for knowledge, which is connected to understanding, because through wisdom and understanding we receive knowledge. The first brought wisdom, the last brings understanding, but by mixing it with the wisdom that Yahushua already left, is able to give knowledge. As I already said, Hosea 4:6 says, for lack of knowledge my people are destroyed. So we need knowledge, and the chosen few, by obtaining that knowledge, will be able to receive salvation in order for them not to experience death. So my point is, that what he's saying, who is wise because of the wisdom, makes reference to the first coming of Yahweh on this earth as the first. Let him understand these things. The only way for us to understand these things is through Yahushua HaMashiach, who left the wisdom for us through the Ruach HaKodesh. Because the heavenly wisdom is pretty much the Ruach HaKodesh. So through the Ruach HaKodesh, through the set-apart spirit, we receive the wisdom in order to understand these things, as also John said it in mainly his letters, his epistles. So who is wise? Let him understand these things. Then it says who is knowledgeable, or who has knowledge. Let him know them. Or well, let me see, because then it says, for the ways of Yahweh are right. So that's when it talked about the upright with the verb yashar. So let me see. Oh, that's beautiful. Because when it says who is prudent, in Hebrew it says nabon. Nabon. So is the word before the knowledge. So it says who has understanding. Who has understanding? Which, as I was saying, Yahushua brought the wisdom, the last brings the understanding, and through both we get knowledge. So look how it says, who is wise, let him understand these things. Who has understanding, let him know them. So we see first and last. And then it says, for the ways, as first and last, of Yahweh are right. The righteous walk in them. Remember that Yahushua is as the straight path to the Father, which is a perfect way, for he committed no sin. The last comes from the wilderness, as in the prodigal son who came out of the father of the house of the Father and went to the nations. That's why he comes from the nations, not from Israel, as Yahushua already fulfilled that. He came from Israel, and Yahweh said that his name, meaning his doctrine, will be known from the east to the west, from where the sun comes up to where it hides. So the last comes from where it hides. That's why he also comes as the thief in the night, as the prodigal son, and many other things. And the point is that it says, for the ways of Yahweh are right. So the way of Yahweh, Yahushua, is perfect. And because of the apostasy, everybody has gone all over the place. So the last comes to become a path to Yahushua, so that those who are lost may find that path and end up going to Yahushua. Right. Coming in this path from the wilderness, finding Yahushua to go right straight to the Father. So, and that, just in case, that way is also represented by the letter Sadeh, which represents a Tzaddik, a righteous person. So even in Paleo Hebrew, well, in the pictographic of the Aleph Bet and in the Ashuri, we find that representation of the way that goes to the Father. Then it says, for the ways of Yahweh are right. The righteous walk in them, but transgressors stumble in them. So those who are transgressors of the law, when they enter for whatever reason the way of Yahweh, they find out about the way of Yahweh, they end up stumbling in them. For Yahushua said, it is written also in the New Covenant, that Yahushua is the cornerstone, but also a stumbling block for those who do not believe. So those who are transgressors, since they don't want to follow Yahushua, the truth, they stumble with what they find in the true doctrine. And I just read. Now, let me see. There's one question. What's the difference between wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? Wisdom is like a flash of light, meaning like a revelation that a person may receive but not understand. As for instance, like you tell somebody a piece of wisdom, yet the person is not able to understand it. But that person got to know that wisdom or hear it, and therefore has it in his head or her head, but doesn't understand what it means. That's why Yahushua came speaking in parables. And even though now we understand it because he explained it, and because we know the different symbols or keys to understand what the prophecies mean. But back in the day, they didn't understand it. And even nowadays, a lot of people don't understand it even when they read the explanation. So the wisdom is the revelation, the light bulb going on, and then understanding is being able to get that revelation and dissect it in order to see where everything goes and see how everything connects, which would be what takes us to knowledge. When we start connecting everything through the understanding of that revelation, then we will know how to act, what to do, what it was that we were told, and what we can do with that information. So I hope that was understood, the difference between wisdom, understanding, and then knowledge. Now, no more questions, so, and I'll see those who speak Spanish tomorrow in the Des Programa. And for those who don't, see you next week with the second chapter of Yoel.